School ended at 3 p.m., and the sound of the front door unlocking meant freedom. Backpacks dropped, shoes kicked off, TV on. 3 p.m. was cartoons, 4 p.m. maybe sitcom reruns. By 5 p.m., the news came on, which meant TV war with Dad. Commercials were snack breaks. Sprint to the kitchen, grab cereal straight from the box. Hope you don't miss the start of the next show. The remote was a trophy, and if a sibling got it first, you were stuck watching whatever they liked. Even if it was Dragon Ball Z, or worse, Oprah. There were no replays. Miss it. That's it. Maybe it'd air again next week. Maybe not. But looking back, it wasn't about the shows. It was the routine, the shared laughs, the snack crumbs, the background noise of home. What show defined your after-school hours? Drop it in the comments. And don't worry, we're not changing the channel. Do you ever miss a time when your biggest decision was what cereal to eat while watching Saturday morning cartoons? Because I do, and I know you do too. There was this quiet magic in the way the world felt before Wi-Fi. When you'd ride your bike until the streetlights came on. When you'd blow into a game cartridge, praying it'd work this time. When the sound of a dial-up connection was your gateway to adventure. Back then, you didn't need much, just a backpack, a Walkman, and maybe a Tamagotchi screaming for food. You knew every phone number by heart. You waited a whole week to watch the next episode of your favorite show. Photos took days to develop, and when they came back blurry, you kept them anyway. Friendships were forged through sleepovers, AIM chats, mixtapes, not follows and likes. It wasn't perfect, but it was ours. Raw, imperfect, and real. And then, somewhere between graduation caps and growing up, we lost it. We traded late-night calls for read receipts. We stopped wondering how someone's doing because we already saw their story. The world got faster and somehow colder. But tell me, don't you sometimes wish you could go back? To feel that sun-drenched summer breeze again, the smell of Blockbuster tapes, the sound of your flip phone snapping shut. Maybe we can't rewind time, but we can remember what it felt like to be fully present, to laugh without a filter, to live, not scroll. So here's to the late 90s, early 2000s, the last generation to grow up offline, and the first to carry its memories in HD. You still remember that feeling, don't you? Do you remember when downloading a song was basically gambling? LimeWire wasn't a music app. It was Russian roulette for your computer, and we loved every second of it. You typed the song name in quotes, double-checked the spelling, 10 results showed up. One was definitely a virus. One was probably Bill Clinton's confession clip. You picked the one that said 320 kbps, even though you didn't know what that meant. 1%, 5%, 22%. You waited 15 minutes for one song. You weren't sure if it was the real track, or someone trolling with Never Gonna Give You Up. But when that progress bar hit 100%, it was like unwrapping a mixtape from the universe. Then the warning popped up. Your antivirus lost its mind. Your fans started spinning like a jet engine. But you didn't care, because that was your song. You'd risk the family computer for a good beat. The moment of truth, you clicked play. Yes, it was real. It was clean. It was yours. Time to burn it to a CD and give it to your crush, with a hand-decorated label. That's what love looked like in the 2000s. But now, the computer was glitching. Mom asked, "Why is everything running slow?" You blamed the weather. Then deleted LimeWire. Until next weekend. What's the first song you ever downloaded? Did it work? Was it a virus? Did you burn it to CD, or lose it forever in a blue screen crash? Tell me in the comments, because in the early 2000s, every song was a risk, and every risk was worth it. Remember when Friday nights didn't mean bars or Netflix, but Blockbuster? That feeling of rushing home from school, finishing dinner fast, then the whole family piling into the car, every week like a sacred ritual. On the way to Blockbuster, the kids would argue, should we rent Toy Story or Jumanji tonight? We looked forward to this moment all week. It was like stepping into a treasure vault. That smell of new plastic mixed with carpet, the cold fluorescent lights that still felt familiar. One kid would run straight to the animation section. Another would sneak over to the PG-13 action aisle, even though mom said no. And then disappointment. New Titanic is gone. Just the cover left, the tape already rented. All hopes crushed. Time for plan B. Some weird movie with a title we didn't even recognize. But sometimes, magic happened. One last copy hidden behind the cover. Still waiting. That feeling. It wasn't just about renting a movie. It was a victory, the highlight of our week. Back home, we'd fight over the remote. Pop the tape into the VCR. Rewind if the last person didn't. Then we'd all sit on the old couch, share popcorn and laugh together. No phones, no social media. Just a movie, a family, and a perfect night. Now Blockbuster is gone. Kids today will never know the joy of choosing a movie as an adventure. But if you lived it, then you know it was never just a movie night. It was a memory. What do you remember most about your Friday nights at Blockbuster? Share it with me in the comments. And don't forget, be kind, please rewind. My parents thought I was asleep, but under the blanket, a dim green light was glowing. The Game Boy wasn't just a toy. It was a portal. A tiny window to entire worlds I could carry in my hands. I'd hide under the covers with a flashlight. Thumb blisters and all. Whispering, just one more level. Right before the final boss, the screen flickered. Battery, dead. I sat there in silence, like I'd lost a friend. There was no cloud save, no checkpoint system. You either beat the game or started over. One night, Dad caught me. He didn't yell. He just said, "Save the princess tomorrow, champ," and turned off the flashlight. Years later, I found that same Game Boy in a drawer, scratched, dusty, but when I turned it on, it still worked. Like it had been waiting. What was your go-to late night game? Tell us in the comments. No flashlight required. Every Saturday at 6 a.m., I woke up like clockwork. Not because of school, but because it was cartoon time. I'd pour a giant bowl of cereal, enough to feed a small army. No milk spills allowed. TV remote in hand. And then, magic. Ninja Turtles, Looney Tunes, Power Rangers, Pikmin. The screen was a portal. I wasn't just watching, I was the hero. My siblings and I fought for couch space like it was war. First one up got the soft blanket. Last one got the floor. Mom would come in at 9 saying, "Go outside. It's beautiful today." But how could the real world compete with Saturday cartoons? One day, I slept in, just once. And somehow, the spell was broken. Now it's just laundry, emails, errands, no theme songs, no animated explosions. Just silence. But sometimes, when I hear that old jingle, I'm 7 years old, again cross-legged, cereal in hand, heart full of wonder. What was your favorite Saturday morning cartoon? Tell us in the comments and don't forget your cereal. The final school bell rang. Not just for the day, but for the year. And for some of us, maybe forever. That night, I made my last day mix CD. Songs that meant something. Songs that said, "Thank you, I'll miss you, don't forget me." At school, we passed around yearbooks like sacred scrolls. Inside awkward photos, inside jokes, and the legendary phrase, HAGS. Have a great summer. I slipped the mix CD into a friend's backpack. No words, just music. I hoped they'd listen. Really listen. Each track had a message. Graduation by Vitamin C. Here's to the Night by Eve 6. Good Riddance, Time of Your Life by Green Day. It was a goodbye, disguised as a playlist. Years later, I found one of those CDs in a dusty box. Scratched, but still playable. I pressed play, and suddenly I was back in that hallway. That summer, that version of me. Sometimes, music says things we can't. What would be on your last day of school mix? They announced it over the intercom. The Scholastic Book Fair is coming next week. And suddenly, nothing else at school mattered. I saved up every crumpled dollar and quarter I had. Dug through couch cushions. Even skipped a snack or two, just to buy something. The library transformed overnight. Tables of brand new books. Posters. Erasers that smelled like fruit. It wasn't just a fair, it was magic. Should I get the Goosebumps book, the shiny dolphin poster, or that pen that writes in 4 colors? I panicked and bought a pencil sharpener shaped like a sneaker. No regrets. Still smells like bubble. We didn't just buy books. We bought a feeling of independence, of choosing for ourselves, of walking back to class, holding something we picked. I found one of those books in a box years later. My name written inside in shaky handwriting. The cover worn, but the joy, still brand new. What was your favorite book fair buy? Comment below, and let's open that box of memories together. The hum of the fan, the blue light from the CRT screen reflecting off the wall. I used to start every night like this. A messy desk with AOL discs, snack wrappers, a few unfinished homework sheets. The walls were plastered with posters of Britney Spears and Linkin Park. As soon as I turned on the computer, I knew I was about to enter a different world. Sunshine filtered through the curtains, shining on the checkered kitchen floor. Mom was pouring cereal into a bowl, her flip phone vibrating gently on the table. I picked at a cold Pop-Tart, my eyes still closed. Do you remember that feeling? A completely normal morning? But now it felt so precious. The familiar screech of brakes rang out. The old yellow bus stopped in front of the house. I quickly stuffed my backpack, oversized shirt, baggy pants. On the bus, my friends were fighting over seats, listening to music on the CD player. Autumn mornings in America, golden and cold, but strangely warm. White chalk scribbled on the blackboard math equations. I sat in the corner, pretending to take notes, while secretly passing a folded piece of paper to my friend. The TI-83 beeped. The multiple choice test was full of dots. In the backpack SpongeBob keychain, a few notes, and the hope of passing the exam. I don't remember the whole lesson, but I remember that look clearly when she opened the paper I sent her. The room was dark, lit only by the CRT monitors. Counter-Strike 1.6 was in action. The sound of keyboards clicking, the shout of headshot echoed throughout the room. My hands were covered in Doritos crumbs. My mouth was full of Mountain Dew. The network cable was as tangled as instant noodles, and we didn't care. We had nothing but time and friends. And that was enough. The dial-up sound every night was like a ritual. The MSN screen flashed. Someone had just buzzed me. The webcam was blurry, recording me scratching my head. The browser opened MySpace slowly as a turtle, but that was okay. Every second of waiting was part of a memory. The TV is on, friends. Monica and Chandler are arguing again. I'm sitting cross-legged on the carpet, holding a bowl of popcorn. Dad is reading the newspaper on the sofa. VHS are stacked on the shelves. The smell of old tapes mixed with the smell of dinner. That was when the whole family was together. No one was glued to their phones. The night is quiet. I climb up to the roof, wearing an old hoodie, looking at the stars. The city in the distance is flickering with lights. I'm no longer the boy from 2003, but inside me, everything is still there. If you've lived through those days, you'll understand. Sometimes, the past is the best shelter. Do you remember when making someone a mix CD meant you really liked them? Not just a playlist. It was a love letter. You'd spend hours choosing the perfect songs. Track 1 had to grab their attention. Track 5, the secret message. Burning it took forever, especially if your computer was old. Then came the cover drawn by hand, full of meaning. Giving someone a mix CD wasn't casual, it was vulnerable. You were saying, these songs, are you? Some of us still have those CDs today. Not just songs, memories in 80 minutes or less. What song was always on your mix CD?